Welcome, everybody. You are with Dr. Zoo here on Thursday, 6th of August, 2026. Love to see you all on board there. Got comments coming through thick and fast already. Now, this is episode 96. 96. Now, that's an amazing number for those that want to think outside the box. 96 with Dr. Zoo. Yes, very nice indeedy. Now, let's just try to tick up a few boxes early. Let's get that out early. Now, Dr. Zoo was getting nervous. He was getting nervous because Monday is D-Day. Monday is welcome South Coast, welcome. Monday is D-Day with the AUSTRAC, 90 days. Started on the 12th of May. We've filed things, we've done things. We haven't received a single formal notification. And Dr. Zoo has been inundated. Everybody is pumped, ready to rock and roll, to trade, to get out there. I'm even getting excited myself now. Can't believe it. The way things are going. Turn the thing on. Now, I can't believe it. We had to have a look at a bit of a situation as to what we do or how we handle it, because you're dealing with government. Government now, as you know, they're an intriguing, interesting body, and they have their laws and their procedures and things. And I guess the best thing that could come out of it, when I was looking at that today, how do we even sort of work our way around it a little bit? How do we prod the bear without prodding the bear, if you know what I mean? Because Monday's not far away. Now, we could roll the dice and just go with it, but there's a little clause. There is a little clause in the Act. That's the Money Laundering Act. We talk about the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorism Financing Act of 2006, the AML-CTF Act. And I identified with the team one of the provisions, which is 76D subsection 5. And that's a little quirky one, because it says basically that before the 90-day period expires, so that's Monday, I'm presuming that that's the full calendar day, which takes us to end of business close of trading on Monday the 10th, that if before that closes off, then what happens is AUSTRAC can extend the period beyond the close date, which is the 10th. So we're rolling it right through here with AUSTRAC till the full 90 days, as you're all aware. And we all want to get going. I've never been in a situation before where I'm begging the government to make sure that we would be one of the few compliant companies with the virtual asset service provider registrations ever. Could you believe it? Could you believe that? Here we are begging to be regulated. Now, that's got to be a first. That has to be a first. Got all these gambling companies running around causing grief, and you see the Senate inquiry there the other day about ads and all the rest of it, and everybody's concerned for everybody's health. And here we are, all our little Zooconians out there in Zoocoin world and the Zoocoin ecosystem. And guess what? We are begging to be regulated so that we can be one of the great crypto exchanges of the only one that has the capacity to do the off-exchange transfer of coins as well as money. So it's pretty powerful. But anyway, Dr. Zoo found this little section, again, just for those chiming in, under section 76D5, and it said that if before the expiry period closes, AUSTRAC can unilaterally, now that unilaterally is a big word, basically it means they can make the decision without any input from us, that is the applicant, to go another 30 days. Now that's not good, but that's not bad either, because another 30 days we could live with that if they triggered that one. And they have to trigger that. That comes basically from the AUSTRAC CEO, so we're dealing at getting the attention of the big guns inside of AUSTRAC if that happens, because he could say, or she, I think it's a he, that because of the complexities of the application or other special circumstances, they can notify in writing before the end of that 90 days that they need another 30 days. Now, that's not such a bad thing if that happened. But what Dr. Zoo decided is, rather than writing it out and then suddenly they end up with, missing the deadline for whatever reason, could be millions of reasons, if they miss that, then that option's not available. And then we're stuck with the other 3 options, which are in the email that went out today, which, well, 2 of them in particular are not good. One's really good. And they wouldn't be able to do the 30 days, which is not a bad thing. So, people, Dr. Zoo decided to really getting agitated as well, because I've never seen such interest coming at us thick and fast. I'm not joking here, people. I'm not making this up. We've just been absolutely unbelievably inundated for all sectors and parties, really intrigued, really wanting to see how the trading environment's going to open the floodgates because of the instantaneous capacity of trading, the ease of building up in terms of people getting their ZuCoin apps, getting their Zutopia apps, and all those sort of things. It's turning into a very exciting phase that we've never seen before. It's extraordinary. I mean, we've got developers that have popped out of the blue and traders that are hitting us hard saying, let's go, go, go. Let's go. From South Africa, coming in from the Philippines. They're coming in at us from India. Haven't seen anything like it. And you know what they say? They're pretty selfish, really. They say, listen, you can have Zutopia turned on straight away, which we can. It's already on live. It's doing the compliance stuff. But what they're talking about is trading becoming live instantly. Every part of the planet except Australia. Now, we can't leave our good friends out of the action. That would be terrible. In other words, Australian citizens would be let down by your own government that you wouldn't be able to trade. Now, how poor would that be? So we just got to grit our teeth, go through it, which is why Dr. Zoo said, okay, let's put a little subtle pressure, just a little nudge, a nice little reminder email that went out earlier today, and you have a copy of that in the latest update. Now, for those that don't understand it, I'll just quickly go through the fine print. The submission date has been confirmed and has been on the calendar with AUSTRAC since the 12th of May. No problems at all. That's the date. Perfect. And then we've had information that's been required by AUSTRAC without the formalities of a formal request for information. It's been very laid back and sending a multitude of stuff through. All sorts of things. Partnership agreements and certificates of this and that, and registration of names and all sorts of stuff that we've been putting together in the last few weeks as well, and including, thank goodness, the clean bill of health for Dr. Zoo. Dr. Zoo, in terms of his police checks. So all those things. But now that was all put in. So this email highlights the agreements effectively that we have in train as per the portal with AUSTRAC. We don't have anything that's flagged to us as nasty or that they need this or that. And it could be as simple as a case that you think about it. These are bureaucrats under the pump, big time, and they've got a lot on their plate because it's opened the floodgates to all these businesses that need to be registered for whatever reason. Now, I know we had earlier in the week people going on about their lawyers and accountants and real estate agents not being aware of it. Well, let me tell you, be aware of it. Be aware of it. We had a couple of good friends in here in the office the other day who are real estate agents, and they're up to their eyeballs in not through the same process like a virtual asset service provider, but they are up to their eyeballs big time. Just hold on here. I've got might even take that call there. It is Riley. I might even get him online. I'll surprise him actually, because I just want to see. He might have had some news, but who knows? I'm on Dr. Zoo now, Riley, and I haven't got you. I've got you on speaker, but I might just get a 1 word or 2 word now, unless you got other news from me. Have you any other news in terms of AUSTRAC? Right, no news. That's good. But look, congratulations on the. I was just about to delve into the website as well, and the team, and Matt and the boys, and all the developers and things. I'll talk about that in a minute. So you've got nothing that I needed to urgently answer your call.
No, all good. We can chat about that later. But yeah, I'll be listening in to see what you say about the new website.
Good man. Now, we did talk earlier, just quickly, that the back end is working magnificent. We are ready. You have been told if that AUSTRAC pops in at any stage, let's hope before now Monday, you're turning the damn thing on. Is that right?
Yeah, look, I'm very happy with how everything's going, and testing's been amazing. We've ironed out some things, and the new website's up, so we're ready to go, ready to hit the button and go live.
Righto, mate. I won't take up any more of your time, and I shall regroup with you after the Dr. Zoo closes for the day. So thank you for that. But I thought you might have had some inside news, but you haven't. So you get back to work. All right. Take it easy. Cheers, mate. Well, there you go. I wasn't going to take that call, people, but you never know. You never know the chances. But this is what, that would have been unbelievable. So, look, what Dr. Zoo, read the emails carefully, please. Please, because I put as much information as I can. So basically, there are 4 scenarios on Monday. Now, this is the most that Dr. Zoo could find with his legal team as to what actually could happen Monday. So let's just touch base on that. Firstly, AUSTRAC, and this is the one we want, number 1, AUSTRAC approves the application under Section 76E. That would be phenomenal. Sure, we've had to drag it out through with them to the 90th day. What the hell? That means you're getting a thorough review on everything, including the back end, the systems and the processes and the ticks and all that sort of stuff. Would be unbelievable. Now, number 2 is not so good. Option number 2 is where AUSTRAC doesn't respond at all. Now, you might say, why would a government do that? Well, we've had that before. We've had that over the journey. We've had a lot of Dr. Zoo has seen it even on state levels in some little side issues. Dr. Zoo had fought a big tribunal case in relation to some land tax bills of $335,000 and got it down to $28,000, only through some really solid, heavy litigation potential and work. But during that process, it all ended up in the tribunal and then was settled. But there was no response on some of the matters that Dr. Zoo had raised. So governments and bureaucrats can go down that road. They can say, well, we do nothing. Now, they would be aware that under the do nothing clause, which is 76D subsection 4 of the Act, by doing nothing, it means that the application is deemed to be refused. So option 2 is the deemed refusal option. Now, that's a little bit ugly, but it's ugly in the sense that we're rearing to go. We are rearing to go, and we want to do that, but that throws it into the mix because under Part 17A of the Act, then we can get the deemed refusal reconsidered by the AUSTRAC CO, and thereafter we then go to the Administrative Review Tribunal. So that becomes a drawn-out process. Now, the tribunals are pretty good, actually. They can happen pretty quickly. We'd probably get somewhere around inside of 60 days, but it just takes a bit of time. Now, it can enshrine it in law, which is not a bad thing for the long term, but not good as we're all busting our chops to get out there and starting to really want to trade. And I wouldn't have expected this if you'd have told me this 90 days ago of the impact and the power this is happening, because all those little things around Dr. Zoo have been happening. We've had exchanges fall off the perch. We've had 2,800 gone down the gurgler. 2 of the major big ones gone. We've got another absolute train wreck mess happening at the moment. There's a cluster going on between Binance and another Red Dot Pay company, tune of $437 million last night. That's in litigation. Talking about customers' funds again. We're talking about another big coin that is an AI coin. That was an interesting one, actually. The AI coin about 12 months ago was worth $2.4 billion, and now they can't give it away for $24 million. And the founder said, "Look, he's tired, he's exhausted, he can't do anything with it. There's no utility." And I see the word utility has come up on the screen. We've talked about utility a million times. So the guest that's referring to that, which is outgoing newbie, I'm not sure if you're just chiming in now after all these years, but we have multitudes of utility has been a big feature for ZooCoins and Zutopia. Basically, the creation of zoo tokens by using of fractionalization or fractions of ZooCoins creates value propositions in every sector on the planet. Every sector. That includes merchant value propositions. It includes the ability to hunt and collect and directly be distributed. No advertising. You're talking an industry worth hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. That takes the capacity for the big likes and big guns like Google and Meta and all those. You can slot that back in, and suddenly you have utility for the first crypto really on the planet. It's transactional free if you're not trading through Stripe with Zutopia, and you can knock yourself out and away you go. And that is the beauty of the whole system. So if you look at that, that's exactly why it's important down the road that let's just see what happens on Monday. But option 2, Dr. Zoo can handle it. No big deal, not a biggie, but it's a time problem given the momentum and the excitement that we have. Wouldn't be surprised what we're now seeing, that this thing's going to go ballistic with the trading. It'll start out low with the prices and things, but then as the coins get gobbled up, there's only one way to go. Remember, Dr. Zoo has talked about the quantity theory of money, and it is a addictive thing to happen. Which is why I was sort of talking earlier about these Senate inquiries with the gaming companies. They're going to be in all sorts of trouble, and it is highly, highly possible that you're going to find that the structure of ZooCas with direct distribution to members, we may be the only portal of effective advertising and go direct to the gaming companies. Now, I can't say that with great certainty because it's all in the mosh of the Albanese mosh of the current laws. I think they're going to put that on the sidelines to do with restricting the gambling bodies. But you've got on the left side, you've got all the goody two-shoes that are worried about everybody's health, and then on the right-hand side, you've got those don't give a stuff because they know what can happen with the power of the gambling dollar. I've got to say, just on that, tongue-in-cheek, don't have to report this if you want because I know this is a closed group of people, but we don't want word to get out that Dr. Zoo would have been very excited during his heyday of the alligator blood days of some serious money that was made tax-free in betting. We're talking serious money. It was ploughed back into effectively now we're waiting for ZooCoins is done and dusted because that's looking magnificent. The wallets, Robert's done a brilliant job there. The latest updates, version 200. And then you've got Zutopia. But in the earlier days, there was evidence given that the betting companies were handing out free cocaine, lots of drinks and alcohol, and lots of lovely women that would have been or could have been accompanying Dr. Zoo on some of these excursions. But that was never offered to Dr. Zoo, and that sort of VIP treatment would be well received. But anyway, that's people want to look after Dr. Zoo's health, so he won't go down that road because others are looking after what Dr. Zoo is healthily doing. Had a healthy lettuce thing the other day. Nearly killed me feeding him. I tell you, the old days of hamburgers and all that sort of stuff, that's what happens when you have a widow make a heart attack. But you get all this advice. Now, back to the AUSTRAC, the third point, which is the third option that AUSTRAC could do on Monday, is they issue a formal notice under Section 76Q, and that's a real big ugly one because that then resets the entire 90 days. And they can then proceed with wanting more information, which is then under Section 76D4B. Yeah, that one. So we don't want to wake up Monday and get a formal notice that triggers the 90-day. But who knows? Dr. Zoo's never been a bureaucrat in his life and doesn't understand the work pressures that they may be under, which is what I said earlier. You know, the amount of businesses that are affected by this two-word stuff-up making arrangements is absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. It doesn't affect us in other parts of the world, but as I said to these people from South Africa the other day, we're doing the right thing. We are going to make sure that all our Aussie early adopters that have taken risks and put their lives, so to speak, on the line to make sure this crypto space continues and accelerates to what it can do as a result of ZooCoins, that we all have an equal opportunity to have a crack through Zutopia. And Zutopia, honestly, it is a powerhouse. It is a powerhouse. It's come a long way since the soft launch. It's tightened up on all fronts. We think we're one of the better KYC, AML businesses in this sector, not only to protect the coins that you've got or moving, but also to make sure that the funds flow and there's no custodialship with all these problems, which is what we want to avoid. So I can't wait to get it going, actually. So that's the 4 identifiable strategies that AUSTRAC could have on Monday. All right. One is they can approve the application. 2 is they don't make a decision, becomes a deemed refused decision. We end up going to a review by the AUSTRAC CEO or the Administrative Review Tribunal. 3, they issue a formal request which extends the 90 days, lock, stock and barrel. Or 4, which is the interesting one, which is why we sent this letter to sort of give a bit of a kick along to remind AUSTRAC, not that they need any reminding about the laws, but sometimes these things escape the cursory glance of some reviewer, but they could enact under Section 76D5 another 30 days, which wouldn't be too bad. Could live with that. Obviously, our preferred course is that we wake up and we have a happy day and there's a formal approval on Monday. So that covers that off, everybody. The second part of the update, which is big, is Riley's team and the website. Now, I don't know whether I'm wearing rose-coloured glasses or what the situation is, but how good is the Zutopia.com website? Bloody unbelievable. Now, it's going to be a mecca for traders. It's going to be a global mecca for traders that want to get involved. As I said to you, there'll come a time where we're going to have a lot of people in therapy, a lot of people. Now, mate, we're not going to make any excuses for that. What I mean by that is it'll be trading so much 24/7, bubbling along, not stopping, continuously going. And let's see, it'll be unbelievable. You will not want to go to sleep because of fear of losing a trading position because it's instant. There's instant gratification. In fact, Dr. Zoo, I think I raised this, but just briefly touched on it. There's no reason whatsoever that the firepower of Zutopia can't be unleashed in not a virtual world, but in a real world environment where when we do lock and load for our conventions, we will have a trading floor and bring back the good old days of people looking and eyeballing each other face to face, desperately trying to work out, a bit like a poker game, and you were trading with someone in real life, in a real life environment, in real time, just for great anxiety and fun, and absolutely allowing the persons to upgrade to even VIP levels. Now, I'm not suggesting for a minute that the VIP treatment that we want to dish out is going to include cocaine or lovely ladies or anything like that. You guys can do that yourselves. You don't need us to have any inducements. But I'm just saying that it would bring back the flavour of the excitement that we saw on the trading floors with the Chicago Commodities Exchange or the New York Stock Exchange, where there's thousands of traders yelling and carrying on. And that could be replicated in a way that becomes an amazing event. It becomes not just an annual event, but it could be a bit like the excitement that people get for those in the industry when it comes to horse racing or buying yearlings. If you've ever been to the Magic Million sales in January, there's a real air of excitement. You're dealing live with people. You're buying and selling. You've got the auction floor going. It's going off 1,000,000 miles an hour. You're sitting at the tables. You've got some drinks and food. And the more you drink, the more you buy. It's unbelievable. So it's not a direct inducement. It's just part of the action and the fun, and that's the stuff we can do. Because of the capacity, we can handle it. We can handle the volume of transactions. The scalability is mind-blowing. You'll start to appreciate it more as we get into it, which is why I'm so excited about the Zutopia.com website. It's slick. It reads well. If you've got a problem with it, well, guess what? Go and find some other platform to trade with. It's pretty simple because this is a world-first, unique combo between the way it's explained, the way you hook into it, and And people are getting it now. They're really starting. All that hard work that we did, even though we're waiting for AUSTRAC, but all that hard work on making it easy to download wallets and not have the copy and paste, and integrating between a ZuCoin wallet and the Zutopia wallets is absolutely schmick. So it is absolutely fantastic. I'm so pumped about it on that one. So that's the updates. And we also send a cheerio and a shout out to Robert Novak. Robert was able to pump out update on that front on the Zutopia site as well. He's put in some commentary there, which is fantastic to read, and he's excited. He'll be a trader. Don't you worry about that. He'll be there. Everybody be open slather. So it'll be a very tough fight between those that want to pick up the cheapest bargains and those that want the maximum price, and how the dust settles at the end of the day. Because there will be no settlement at the end of the day. It'll be 24/7. 24/7. And you'll notice on the screen as well, the boys have got ready in preparation the live feeds. So when this thing's going ballistic, that line at the top of the website on Zutopia.com, it will be flying at 1,000,000 miles an hour as trades are happening. You'll see a ticker tape there. I've always liked the ticker tapes in the 80s. Dr. Zoo really flourished during the days of the exchanges with their ticker tapes. Rather than just looking at a boring old screen, you're going to see some of that action there. We're also thinking about live feeds onto the website as well in different places around the world that you could be trading with someone in Africa, and that could be broadcast live. Don't have to identify the persons, but we can certainly have little avatars and things that put you in the picture and gets the momentum of that going as well. So that is an absolute cracker. Now I'm going to tackle a couple of questions. Good in Brisbane. Thanks, Brisbane. Appreciate you on board there. Awesome. Outgoing newbie. Yes, you're a newbie. Well, the best advice I can give you is that you've got a new website with Zutopia.com. Plenty of information. You can trawl your way through all of that. Plenty of information on the new ZooCoins.com site. You can even revisit it hasn't been updated yet, but it will be Zoocaz.com. So you can knock yourself out with information. There is Z8 Digital as well. Those links will be put in. And Z8 Digital is Pete Allen's U-Butte AI processes of really answering everything you want, because there's absolute ton of data that's gone in, and it spits out the answers. You don't need to worry yourself sick too much about emails. I mean, emails are okay, but the problem with emails is that they get lost, or people change, or they go to spam, and they're all over the shop. So the best form of communication is the absolute updated, hot off the press information on these websites, or the Z8 Digital AI searching capability. So look out for that with Z8 Digital. Cheerio to Pete, great lot of work. And again, myzoocoins.org, you actually enter into a new world of Robert's brain as to what's happening on the dev side. We've got a couple of other dev sites coming that will be directed towards developers only, basically for exploding the growth of integration with merchants online. And also that leads into the processes that have merchants with easy accessibility. And that accessibility is going to be mind-blowing. Now, I've got a little note here from, looks like Rob might have been listening in. He's usually too busy for these things, but let's have a look. I'll just check, because we're going all over the shop on some of this stuff. Yeah, he's got some more stuff coming. Good information coming on using unstable, unpublished, and undocumented APIs in weekly summaries and stuff. So we'll feed that out to the general marketplace as well. And yeah, we'll see how that pans out. So that looks very good as well. From Robert's side, everybody's on the same page, and everybody's doing an enormous job across the board. So a couple of questions, people. Let's have a look. Yeah, visit some earlier shows on YouTube. We've got the It's Zoo Time, which is a great historical reference to some of the things that are all happening now around the world. There's plenty of that's going on. You've got the earlier YouTube videos. There's plenty of those. There's plenty of old Dr. Zoos to listen to. So there's a wealth of information, absolute wealth of information as to what you can get your hands on or listen to or see if you're coming in cold. So it's been a long journey, but there's a lot of information out there. At the end of the day, it's simplified down that you download a wallet. That's a ZuCoin wallet. You download a Zutopia. You connect. Process is very simple. You've got all the functions and features inside the ZuCoin wallet that you could ever worry about. You've got a messaging system. I did a few transactions with some messages that are now in the split chain. When the transaction was happening between sender and receiver, there's two-factor authentication as well, which is giving certainty between the peers, the sender and receiver. You've got to make sure you download. We had a gentleman today. It was great to see him, and he's done all the right things. He's had the backups. So if you back up, it was nice and easy to restore to a new ZuCoin wallet. You can just go to the website on zucoins.com. Very simply access the links to download the wallet, and you can do the same with Zutopia. Or you can share amongst yourselves. So if you want someone to get your public wallet address, just get in your phone, turn on the ZuCoin wallet. Down the bottom, there's a little button there called Receive. Press that, and you can share your public wallet address with anybody on the planet, and then they can start transacting with you to that wallet address. No big deal. It's a beauty. And you can share that by multitude of methods, not just message. You can use Messenger and WhatsApp and all Signal and all sorts of wonderful things that allows that to happen. And then you store that in your contacts, and you can edit the contacts, and you can search. And it's going to be very important, because that's the key to that is the instant transferability that allows those things to happen with the transfers. Now, let's have a look. We've got, some curious character giving some good advice there about doing your research, hundreds of videos and articles. Well, look, it's not necessarily that there's ridiculous questions. It just means that we've just got to be patient and encourage our fellow Zuconians that are coming on board, because the new ones coming on board, it's a lot easier in many respects to certainly get that news firsthand, mouth to mouth. That's one of the great things about, the oral distribution of information. As long as the information is correct and you can refer back to somewhere where it's come in at least officially. We don't always get it right, of course, and we're always looking for people to pick on things and give us updates that they see. And there's a lot of stuff that happens, and both Riley and Robert's teams welcome those sort of emails. And if you do have something that's a real problem, take a screenshot. Take a screenshot, send it in, and the team can identify it exactly and put the appropriate fixes in place. Now, let's see, what have we got? Yeah, Rocket Man's spot on there. Zutopia may not need compliance at all for VAS. That is a possibility, because of the nature of what we're doing may not necessitate, which may be the complexity that I referred to earlier. If that complexity means that they're not sure as to why we would need to be, I don't believe we need to be registered, really, because of the processes we have in place and the systems, which really locks out the wallies. It locks out companies. Zutopia is not about having companies. If you want to trade, you trade in your own name, and then you have your appropriate documentation to verify that you're trading for and on behalf of someone else or another entity. The bottom line is you've been verified to a highest level. We also verify every single payment, which stops the reversal risks and chargebacks. And that also is an indication that if the banks are doing their job, then it is and should only be good money, not bad money, that's flowing in the network and the system to people. And that's the beauty of the system. So that's quite right. That would be an amazing outcome if they did need extra time to understand what we're doing. Then that would be option 4, which would trigger an additional 30 days to reach that conclusion. Happy to help on that front. Happy for the team to look at the processes. They've done some amazing back-end flows, which is awesome. So let's just let's just wait and see. We just got to wait. But I thought it was in our interests, and really just to give a subtle indication of why we're excited. We all want to see an outcome either registered or confirmed as not needing to be registered as the ultimate outcome at the end of this 90 days. So let's see how we go. Now, there's a question here. Is Mate Tokay still involved with ZuCoins? He's involved in the sense that he has a lot of ZuCoins. So at last count, he was desperately waiting to see the trading and see some significant rises in price because Mate wants to still get his hands on some cheaper or now cheaper properties in Dubai. Be the last place on earth I'd want to be looking at the moment with all this ruckus going on. But Mate loves it there. The tax-free situation can get a bit hot, but that's okay. You sit inside with an air conditioner, I suppose. And he's involved with the ZuCoins because he owns ZuCoins. He has ZuCoins. And no doubt he'll be looking to trade and trade profitably for sure. So, yeah, Mate, if you're listening, fantastic stuff. We haven't needed to have that retainers and that outflowing of money on your side, unfortunately, for yourself, because the system's been speaking for itself. But we do have those connections open down the road. So it's all about the patience, and Mate seeing now he was skeptical too about Zutopia originally. He didn't think that could be achieved based on the way in which the world exchanges sort of behaved and carried on. Mate was always very keen to have a normal exchange, which those normal ones are now vaporizing at a rate of knots. And he wanted market makers, which Dr. Zoo didn't want to do because they're very artificial. They either take a bucket load of coins and try and create liquidity on the sell side, or they take a bucket load of money and try to pretend they're on an independent buy side. So that made no sense to Dr. Zoo. Dr. Zoo has been a trader since the early 80s and understands completely the mechanisms of the market. And it just needed that refinement to deliver the outcomes, which then meets the requirements of the AML as we see today, which, as I said earlier, it's come as a shock to a lot of participants in businesses, and I feel very sorry for them. I feel very sorry for our great friends in real estate, legal fraternity, accounting, because they're getting caught up in a mess that shouldn't be their job. They shouldn't be in a position of needing to do that extensive AML if the source of funds is coming from banking institutions that should be doing the job in the first place. So, if you've got $50 million there and you've got no indication as to that's coming from a normal business or sale of assets or whatever, then that should raise a flag to the banks, and the banks would sit down and say, listen, how much cocaine have you been delivering this week? Well, thanks very much. We'll turn that bank account off. It's not very hard. It's not hard at all. If you look at the flows and the way in which money moves around the world. But anyway, they've got caught up in it, and that all sent us back to the way in which this was rushed through Parliament, and it was rushed through with the support of David Pocock and Jackie Lambie, who I hold accountable for causing a long-term $13.4 billion nightmare to small businesses. And the other problem is, really, if you think about a small real estate agent, talked about this with one of our ZuCoin holders earlier in the week, who is a ZuCoin holder and a real estate agent. It's not just the fact that you need to collect the buyer's information or the seller's information. It's what you then do with it, because you're now relying on a smaller business to protect the very data that we all get wound up about as being able to be hacked. I mean, look at those smarties the last 24 hours that have been using AI and impersonating senior management's voices to perfection. And if you get a chance to have a look at those articles, Citadel is one. These hedge funds were hacked into because of the ability of AI to pretend to be someone of prominence within the organisation, which then enforced junior staff to hand over their access codes, etc., to penetrate and hack into the systems. So that's all about social attacks, which social engineering, they call it. Well, they engineered it all right. AI is running around, it's hacking into all sorts of things. And next thing, you got billions of dollars of people's money's exposed, and risks and potentially litigation, insurance claims, and the list goes on and on and on. So I think it's because at the end of the day, it's ill thought out processes from the starting block, which starts with parliaments and legislation and then moves its way through the economy, as we're just seeing. So that's not good. That's not good. Dr. Do don't like that stuff. But here we are. We're begging to become regulated, and we're waiting. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Now, what have we got? Curious character is answering that defeats the purpose of crypto. You are meant to have full control. I think you're going very well, people. You're sort of answering your own questions, actually, which is good. There's people that have some more information. Now, you don't need to get too insulting on some of this stuff, but stay cool, stay calm. Yes, we're all pretty keen to see some action. Yeah, so look, outgoing newbie, welcome to the hostile world of people eager. The good thing is we're all on the same page. We all want to see the action start. We want to see the outcomes and how that sits with the values, and whether the quantity theory of money takes over and locks and loads and gets us where we want to be. Because as time keeps getting further on, Dr. Zoo's, he's keen to get that Gulfstream. I've said it before a million times. Could have done with it this week, actually, and gone to a few nice races. But anyway, I've got to sit tight, bite my lip, and fingers crossed. And that's why Dr. Zoo was getting a little bit edgy and put that email out just today, just as a teaser with AUSTRAC. See how we go. Now, so many negative people out there. Well, the good thing about the human race, everybody that's sort of chiming in with some thought bubbles, the good news is 50% of the population is half glass full and 50% is half glass empty. That's why we have glasses of water. That's why we have glasses of water. So, yeah, just take it easy. Settle, be calm. Now, a couple of little things to round up the day. So that was the main function today, was pumped up about the site, Zutopia.com. Absolutely fantastic. As I said, if you can't get your head on that and you don't get excited by the look and feel of the site, where it's heading, the Generation Z we're targeting predominantly, it's very dumbed down for everybody else to use. It should be a real buzz when you see the trading. We've got gamification. It's going to be added into the trading mechanisms. I won't talk about that today, but that's going to be mind-blowing. You've got Zoo tokens eventually that'll be listed. You'll have all sorts of asset classes you want to trade. It's going to be unbelievable of the volume of what we want. And the more volume, the more turnover, the more money Zutopia will make because of the data. And remember, unlike all this collection of data like the real estate agents are doing, for example, we don't collect anything personal. Stripe's got the personal stuff. Zutopia is sitting there on the back end of that with the collection of that if it needs for AUSTRAC and suspicious transaction reporting. But at least from a data perspective, the movement of tokens, the acquisition of those tokens, that is the Zoo tokens eventually with merchants through Zoocas, gives a powerful on sale of data, of anonymous data, that can then be used by other merchants to directly communicate their messages to those that want, that is the users, that want to be lock and load with their favourites being a merchant or a particular product. That is a game changer. And if that money there flows and rivers of gold flow, then of course, as someone pointed out a little while ago, which is on record, and this is for outgoing newbie, we do intend to want to elevate the participation by bigger institutions that can come in, and we do want to include that with things like a liquidity support fund, which is what Mate was alluding to in the earlier days, but without the conflicts and the problems and the wash trading and all sorts of stuff, because they are valueless in terms of some of the products. The meme coins are not worth anything. They have no utility. The Solana coins are a joke. You've got Bitcoin that's struggling and has taken an absolute bashing in the last week. An absolute bashing because of, you guessed it, the Cold Care wallet hack. Could be an inside job, actually. Dr. Zoo thinks it's an inside job. It's bizarre that you would turn the number or the word generator off and make it exposed for other software systems to create and replicate private keys, which then gives them access to Bitcoins in wallets. And I think at last count, the Cold Car BTC wallet seed phrase failure, which is what it is probably around about $120 million in a week. Now, the problem will be as to whatever fruitcakes decided to take those coins using this back-end entry point with the seed phrase problem by really second-guessing what the seed phrases are. When we don't have seed phrase, we have the backup of the private key, as you are well aware. But nevertheless, the structure of these cold off-chain wallets was supposed to be the ultimate thing for Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's been put to bed in terms of the penetration of what's gone on there. The issue will be that the FBI is involved and other regulatory bodies, and I'm pretty sure they'll be able to track the movement of those particular coins, because whoever's stupid enough to take those is going to need to wash those out through the system and try to move them around with different wallets in order to pick up or convert that into real dollars, which would be very difficult. I would have thought, and as I said before, the nature of a seed phrase structure, it was not the original thoughts of Satoshi when he created the private key. So he went down the private key road, and then all of a sudden a bunch of blokes got together and Satoshi went missing in action, and they decided that they'd bring in this concept of seed phrases to try and make it easy for the rest of us. Well, that went well. Went well, so well that it's caused a real lot of problems in the industry. So that copped a whack. And then you had the big one. Then you had the big one there, and you got to hand it to him. I mean, any bloke that can go to bed and then wake up the next day and drop a lazy $220 billion really has got to have big ones, because Elon Musk, the pressure that he's under, he had a rocket that's decided to hit the moon, or hasn't hit it yet, or it has hit, and drill a bit of a hole in the side of it. Let's hope it hasn't taken it off balance and we end up with the tides changing, but who knows? But 220 billion in one night, and we are down to levels that really are putting this on show as to how he recovers from that, especially with the unlocking of shares that are held in escrow, which could be another wave of nightmares coming for SpaceX. But down $17 last night. That's down to $108 a share. $108. That's down from an all-time peak around 225. So a few lazy $1 trillion there. No one wants that record. Dr. Zoo, yeah, it's mind-blowing, actually. Absolutely mind-blowing. And then you've got our little friend, our little 24-year-old bloke, which I was starting to talk about the other day, and Leopold Aschenbrenner, 24, 25. He's a former OpenAI researcher, and he wrote an essay called Situational Awareness, the Decade Ahead, and on the back of that, raised billions. Can you believe that? Had his little strategies and things in play and thought it was a good idea. And through all his might and power of people backing him into the AI space, and lo and behold, it all went pear-shaped last week. And can you imagine how strong your new future bride would be when you go to the wedding and you've just dropped another lazy $45 billion of value of people's money, and most of the people at the wedding have got investments in your concepts of situational awareness? Goodness me, that would have been an absolute crackerjack wedding. Absolute cracker. It's hard enough getting to blend in with the in-laws, let alone in-laws who also have money, plus others that have money, and you've got to hold your head high and explain that you've had a 67% net loss for the month of July, just before the wedding. Tell everybody that it all went pear-shaped. The fund wasn't shut down. It still leaves a nice $8 or $9 billion in the pot. But others have been buying his positions out and taking him out. He won't go completely broke, but it's profits that are lost and others that have come in at higher prices. Because, as you know, Dr. Zhu's famous saying, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If you're a buyer of Zhu coins, the equal and opposite reaction is there's a seller. If you're a seller, there is a buyer. If you make money, someone's lost money. That's how the world works. If you are considering a glass of water, you are half glass empty or half glass full. There it goes. Newton's third law. How good's that? Anyway, that was the Leopold. We send out a cheerio to him. The age of 24, you'll learn from that pretty well. We all learn in the early 20s how to go pear-shaped pretty quick. It's staggering to believe that he was back to that extent. From a reported high of 45 billion down to 8, a 35 odd billion dollar drop, and running a fund at the age of 24 without having been around the block is absolutely staggering. But that's the crazy world we live in. You can easily see why it makes a lot of sense now that the tulips in the 1500s were so popular. Some rabbit decided tulips were going to cost a few bob. They bring out a contract for the future sales, and the tulip mania takes over. And then in those days, equivalent billions of dollars was lost because they realised they just, dig a hole and put some more tulips in. Anyway, that's for another day on that one. So that was the big news on that front of the young fella taking a hit, and then the older fella, Elon, another $220 billion last night. The numbers are staggering. Now, we just sit here with our little project. We know that we've got the opportunity for a lot of now fantastic mass adoption. We've dumbed it down. We've done the protections we can do. We can do probably a little bit more fine tuning that Dr. Zhu wants to do on protecting certain aspects of the coins, so that you are in a safe space, because what will happen, sure as anything, price goes up, you become super wealthy, and then all of a sudden you have a problem because you haven't followed the rules on backups and things, and you lose it. Now, the bad news, when you lose coins and they're gone forever, everybody else takes advantage of it, right? Now, that's the bad thing. The old Newton's third law. For every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. How do I know that? Because that's a fact. That is a fact. That if you lose your coins, they don't go off the chain. They don't sort of disappear off the split chain, but they become never accessible. They become locked. They're never to be able to be touched again. And that means there's less coins distributed through the ecosystem. And that means that the supply and demand kick in. And of course, there is far greater demand because the supply has dropped because of people's stupidity. So please, back up. Back up. You can put that back up safely and encrypt it yourself on the phones or iCloud. You can put it into a hard drive on the computer. You can even press a button and print it out and print the codes out and put that in a safe vault somewhere, and away you go. So, and just remember too, USBs don't last forever either. They're not bulletproof. So it is a tough gig all around. Now, I think I can wrap up today a little bit earlier, and let's have a look. Rocket Man, we might finish with you. You said you've met a few people that were going down the path on building on blockchain, and now I've told them split chain, 32 fractions. They are asking more questions how and the process. Yes, we've got a lot of good stuff there and developer stuff in relation to that. And that's exactly what's happening. And the reason is, if you're not a developer, most of us aren't, but you've got AI these days, you've got Claude and Fable and all sorts of things that can create these things. The issue is, if you run off to Ethereum and you want to fractionalize to create a smart contract with a particular token, there is a cost. There is gas fees. And those gas fees, I don't know who comes up with these names. Someone went to bed one night and said, what do we call our fees? Well, I don't like the word fee. I think, I let out a bit of gas. Let's call it gas. So we'll call it the Ethereum gas fee or the Ethereum gas. And then you fiddle around with the maths, and the gas equals this and that, and it ends up at cost you in real terms dollars as a result of the gas. Make sense? Probably not. Anyway, you might as well use bananas. If you want to use Ethereum, you just buy a bunch of bananas. As I mentioned the other day, there actually was a banana coin. There was a banana coin. It hasn't been very successful, but there was a banana coin many years ago. Now, the gas fees are an inhibitor to mass growth and development of the very tokens. So if you want merchants to be pushing out hundreds, if not thousands, of new, exciting tokens that can be listed on Zutopia or redeemed by the consumers, then you need to have that free, and that is what we have delivered with Split Chain. You can have a 32 decimal fraction, which is a lot of decimals, I might say. If you tried it, you should try it actually. Get out there and put in transfer to one of your mates for 0.032 decimals 1 or 31 decimals and 1 and send it. Now, the reason we don't have that with the things like Zutopia is because the currencies can't do 32 decimals. So we stick to, I think, to maximum 4, but nevertheless, it is available for tokenization. So that gives us the firepower for exploding into real-world assets and tokenization, which I did allude to the other day, that Brazil is already fired up, but it does cost a few bob, of tokenizing the ownership rights to cows and allowing that collateralization to be then used for borrowing against, so you can monitor your particular asset, being the cow. You can monitor the quantity of milk, and you can monitor the on sale of the cow, and it's all on a ledger that shows the proof of ownership through tokenization. Now, Zutopia can have that as a readily tradable tokenization, and it can also obviously be produced through the Zoocoin fractionalization. So it's an exciting world coming, and that is the massive utility space that we've designed brilliantly from the early days, and that's why the time and effort has gone into ticking those boxes for scalability. You probably wouldn't have appreciated it in the past, but you'll appreciate it in the future, because that's, if you want trillions of transactions or billions like Visa and MasterCard, you have to have a protocol or a network that can cope and handle that. And you don't want to be worrying yourself about the growth of the Bitcoin blockchain in that sense. So there you go. Now, I'll wrap up. Mysterious Explorer, Alan. I'll be able to chat with Alan later, but Dr. Zoo here can answer that on behalf of him. So is there an avenue for us to develop an idea via AI and present it to your team for feasibility of concept? Well, that's interesting, because I think what we can do, what we're trying to do is avoid the workload. We want people to make money and be out and about, that they make money without sort of circling back to what we do here. Because I mean, a feasibility concept could be anything, which then puts us in a position of becoming advisors, etc., which we're trying to avoid. We're trying to decentralize completely the entire processes, and that there are other geniuses out there that can look at it and go, wow, this is a great idea, and you've got the core. So the idea is that we give you the core developer's capability to create some case studies. And the first case studies, obviously, for us is Zukaz and Turfstar, which is the horses, digitisation of real-world assets being the horses. There will be digitisation of Dr. Zoo's legal cases down the road. There'll be a lot of these things coming out left field. But once you've modelled one as a case study, it should be quite easy for that to be open the floodgates, because each idea can come with its own level of problems. For example, because the tokens from merchants in Zukaz are a merchant-driven value proposition that replaces advertising, and that money goes back to the merchant when it's redeemed. So Harry and the boys next door, they could issue a $5 token coffee voucher, and again, you could receive that directly on your phone, or you could hunt and collect it out the front of Kiwa Street here in Albury. You lock it into your vault on your phone with your Zoocoin wallet, and you either go back and redeem it and get that $5 value directly to Harry and end up having a cheesecake and a couple of their wonderful lamb wraps and things, and you spend a bit more money. That's a successful point of using tokenisation. That's not caught by the financial regulatory laws in Australia, and I'd pretty well say around the world. It's a marketing tool that allows the merchants to distribute effectively three-dimensional forms directly to consumers who might have them in their list in their favourites as a favourite merchant or favourite product. Now, once you start tweaking it, and you might have an idea and you say to yourself, look, I'm going to tweak the return, that there is a return on that token. It might be a rent return, for example, that the token relates to a property, and that property is going to create a weekly rental return through a smart contract, or it's got a derivative value in it. That is, it's got some future more value that can happen down the road, or some return of percentage of income or a percentage of capital. You've now taken that to another level that your own advisors would say, yes, we can create the token that relates to that, but now you're throwing yourself in the mix that you're going to need AFSL licenses and regulatory stuff and all that. And it's bad enough getting caught up with this process that, we spent millions on in the past, but we're happy to get it done with AUSTRAC, let alone circling back. Now, at some stage, if Dr. Zoo does takeovers of companies and issues tokens, and there's value propositions between a listed company on the ASX or the NASDAQ, and the token ends up becoming a value of the assets of that particular business that relates to potential income and capital, then Dr. Zoo would need also to be regulated in all the jurisdictions that we talk about. So that would be with the SEC or the ASX or rather the ASIC, and you've now changed the dynamic. So we're not here really to look at the feasibility, because along with the feasibility comes a potential lot of problems that relate to more legal issues, etc. What we will do is create case studies I've just indicated, and then you go off and say, right, I've got a great idea, and now you've got your advisors to do that. If you're hanging on to the coins, which some will, and down the road, you will need to hang on to a coin to do the fractionalisation, and then, of course, you can say, yes, my developers can build this out, but now I've got a legal layer that needs to be considered with an accountant or lawyer or financial person or a representative from the regulatory bodies, and you're off and running. So that was a long way of saying, just keep an eye on what we're producing. It's the easy, basic, vanilla type token concepts, and then people can get ideas and run with that. I mean, one of the ideas, of course, which has got layers and layers in the past of problems, will be the tokenisation that we wanted many, many years ago, which is very valuable, that would be done with institutions, is the lottery. And, of course, that throws you in the mix. And given the gambling laws, Dr. Zoo's been banging on about this for 30 years. When you only lose what you can, they go on about the health of people with gambling and all the rest of it. And yet, there'll be another $12 million Powerball tonight, and people will have a 1 in 8 million chance of trying to win that tonight. And yet, for the last better part of 30 years, which is part of the $4.3 billion damages claim that Dr. Zoo's running, which will end up in the High Court, that was all about not taking the capital of people, but having it as a deposit, which is built on the British premium bond system that's been around since the year 1674. So there's an idea. That's a concept. Most concepts have been around before. And all you do is you leave $20 or $10 with the government, in this instance in the UK government, or £10. You don't earn any interest, which helps the government get an interest-free ride on capital. They guarantee the money, but each $10 or pounds represents one entry in a lotto-type reward program. And how do we know it works? Because it is fundamentally, monumentally successful. There's $200 or $300 billion in it. There's $12 billion a month that gets on deposit. There's 25 million British citizens in it, and it works well. So it reduces the effect of gambling on the one hand. You don't lose your capital. You can get your money out whenever you like. On the flip side, you lose the value of the interest that could be earned, which is your contribution to be in effectively a lotto type draw. So many ideas, many concepts, many feasibility things, but can only happen, people, because you are sitting on the gold mine, which is the split chain capability with the firepower of your ZuCoin wallets and your ZuCoins, and the fractionalization and where that leads to. And that creates massive real world assets, which is a $31 trillion potential business. That'll put them to bed. Imagine that, eh? And ZuCoins becomes the globalized. I mean, even then, look, I know I'm getting past the time here again now, but even this stuff that's happening with these stable coins, I've said it before. I mean, a stable coin, if you've got one coin and it's supposed to represent $1, then you would think, in theory, that the bank or somebody would be holding the US dollar, and you could flick a switch like you can do right now with the split chain search. You can put in your public wallet address and you can see the last transaction. It's transparent. There it is. Doesn't do the whole history. That's the beauty of the private element of the history that's on your phone, not on the split chain. But at least there's a verification of that particular coin. It could be a fraction. It could be anything that relates to these tokens. And you can see it. Now, if you want to build a proper stable coin, you would have thought that the institutions or the custodians or those that are regulated, and particularly that need to be regulated globally, I think that's why they're trying to work their way through the Clarity Act in America at the moment. There's a big argument, big shit fight going on about who's going to get what. But at the end of the day, it's the consumer that suffers, because the stable coin should be very simple. There should be one coin that has a smart contract that says there is $1 held with XYZ Bank. And you can look it up and you know it's worth $1. And then as you move that coin around the world, when someone finally wants to redeem it, they can go to the bank and say, give me my dollar. Alternatively, you just keep using the tokens. So someone far younger and more enthusiastic and wants to become a superstar billionaire before, Dr. Zoo, someone's going to grab their Zoo coins, and as sure as anything, they will start to create that sort of contractual environment with the institutions. They'll say, how good is this? Let's use a fraction of a Zoo coin that represents $1 Aussie or €1 or £1 sterling, and it's held with XYZ Bank, which is reputable and not about to go down the toilet. And there is a transparent a way to see how many of those fractions match up with the real dollars, and you will get all the comfort you need in the world of stable coins. And quite rightly, because there's a guarantee that you can see that they are there, because at the moment Tether's in all sorts of trouble. It's got stuff going all over the joint. No one knows whether there's any money or not there. They got resold in Europe not that long ago, got taken off the exchanges. You've got all sorts of issues with, even USDC. So they're not quite perfect. You've got PayPal trying to buy into the game. You've even got Stripe there trying to get into the stable coin because they can see money. The problem is they're not guaranteeing certainty even on the transfer of the stable coins, which means you've got chargebacks and reversals, which is an absolute nonsense. Absolute garbage. I mean, if the dollar goes from A to B, then that's how it should be. And I think if you think about this example, if you go to the ATM machine this afternoon and you pull out a couple of $100, try your luck at trying to get that money back because you say you didn't get the $200 out of the ATM machine. Buckleys. You got Buckleys and Buckleys. The fact is, it's your responsibility. That money's in your wallet. You have received it, and there is no chargeback. There is no reversal if you've taken that money out of the ATM machine. What's the difference? That's how the crypto space should be working as well. In our case, guess what? It's the only crypto in the world. I'm happy to be corrected. Happy for Satoshi to come on the show anytime. That has the two-factor authentication. That is, you get the confirmation, as you people know, between a seller and a buyer. You won't get that anywhere else. There's that much coins. I think 3.1 million Bitcoins are lost because they've gone into the ether of people not knowing which wallet addresses they've been sent to. And there it goes. It's gone. Gonski. When you do a wrong transfer of money in the bank, it goes to a BSB account, your chances are very high that you will get it back if it goes to the wrong BSB or account number. Very high, because you can call on the bank to say, help me, help me. get my money back. I sent it to the wrong address. But that comes with some legal problems as well, because if the size of the transfer is so great, the bank's got to get it recovered from the other side as well. It's a nightmare. Imagine that. Imagine having trillions of dollars on stablecoin related ZuCoin fractions. There's an opportunity. Hey, have a think about that. There is a big opportunity to all those finance guys listening in, because you can rely on the support of the split chain and the way in which it's been designed. All right, people, I think that's enough for today. There's a question there quickly. Is multi-language support part of the VASP compliance? Multi-language. No, that's built into your, no, that's built into the way in which you do your compliance internally, that if you've got those customers that can't speak English, then you've got to accommodate that because of what you're collecting. But that, again, is a massive database problem for Stripe, not so much for us, because we're not collecting anything. We're not collecting your coins. We're not collecting your money. We're doing nothing, really. All we're doing, the only reason we get tangled up in this mess, at least on the face of it, and Dr. Zoo hasn't challenged this because he wanted to say, well, let's go down the hard way with getting registered. But it's because we, as in Zutopia, have to get an electronic instruction from you as the buyer in your own account in Stripe, your sub-accounts, it doesn't sit with us, to then process the payment electronically directly to the seller. And because of that instruction, that on-forwarding of that electronic instruction, that's what can be trapped as being the making a market, which then puts in play the virtual asset service provider registration. That's the only reason. Now, maybe the teams at AUSTRAC have, realised that, which we highlighted that, and lo and behold, we'll find out one way or the other on Monday. So have a great weekend, everybody. Let's just see if we do get any news whatsoever. We will push that out pretty quick. The boys are really tidying up a lot of things, been fantastic on the new websites. Actually, I did a change on one of the material bits of information in the FAQ earlier today, and I was blown away. Within 10 seconds, it was already put up on the website. So we haven't had that speciality or experience before. Whole new ball game there. So things can change very quickly. Things are really starting to accelerate with getting information out. And of course, you are sitting on the best thing in crypto, and that is not just the wallet and all the things, but notifications, which Robert Novak has really put some serious brain power to make sure that that does what it's supposed to do in instant time. Even though in Zutopia, we have a little bit of extra time to help you out. So on that note, everybody, have a good one. Cheerio, and we will be regrouping on Monday. Good luck.